as you told, like you are before becoming a founder, you've held leadership roles as a CMO. What did corporate leadership teach you that many founders learn the hard way?
What it really taught me, what being a leader on the corporate and the enterprise side taught me, is it taught me about listening to people. It taught me to really understand how to motivate people to generate maximum output, how to really instill pride and passion in the people that I work with, on teams, individually. And ultimately, this comes from, having pride and having passion comes from having people feel ownership and investment in the outcome, from identifying and learning what people are really good at. And that I found very inspirational. And I've had some really extraordinary career defining opportunities to work on some of the biggest films in Hollywood history, to taking the Grammy brand that in 2003 was in steep decline, and re-envision and reignite it for an entirely new generation. And after a number of years in these roles, I really experienced a personal shift, right? I knew I had another chapter in me, and I craved this deeper purpose. I was looking for more meaning and more impact. As I touched on earlier, Kwieri is the most meaningful project I've been involved with the biggest potential to make a real impact on people's lives.
What is about what you are building today and that drives you personally?
You know, I'm a father of two college-age daughters, actually one daughter who just graduated college. And when I see what's going on when I see the shift that culture has made and continues to make to technology, I think technology has some amazing benefits and virtues that can make us stronger, better, faster, more efficient. But I also see that there's a downside in relying too much on technology. There's a lot of young people today who feel more comfortable in a digital ecosystem than in the real world. And as I see AI, which is literally the most transformational development in certainly in our lifetime, maybe ever, I see that there's a real potential concern. And I happen to have been fortunate to be in a position with my co-founders to identify this problem early. And if we can even make a small dent in what's going on, or help to shape the direction of the collaboration between humans and AI, I will feel that that's a huge win, because I just think that there's so much good to be tapped and harnessed. And I think that many current solutions are unfortunately a little bit short-sighted.
Uh, okay, we're gonna go like regarding the market potential as well as the solution. We want to
Okay.
know regarding the solution and market potential for that.
Sure.
Like, what has the response been so far, and what kind of traction does Query have?
So after building and testing and validating the product over the past year, we have overwhelmingly validated the product by deployments in universities across the United States. And we're now presenting our solution to market, and we've started building a client base and generating revenue. We have secured strategic partnership with one of today's neo cloud providers. So now we have the ability, in addition to providing the front end in classroom solution, we can go to schools and enterprise with the back end AI compute infrastructure as well. So there's a whole end to end solution. We're finding that on the enterprise side, anywhere that there are various pathways, there's more than one right answer, there's various pathways to get to that right answer, and each one of those pathways can be influenced and impacted by human context and lived experience. We're finding that there is a deep need for our product, including areas like the legal space, career coaching. We also have, since that's where we originally validated the product, we have a number of universities that are deploying Kwieri and that are in the pipeline from a client standpoint. We're also finding that there's HR services firms that want to keep human beings in that feedback loop as they're deploying AI. Kwieri becomes a very seamless click and collaborate solution. So from students to faculty to administrators to businesses deploying AI, the response has been overwhelmingly and virtually universally positive. We have over delivered on every assumption, every promise that we made. Users move from passive AI consumption to deep collaborative learning. Faculty at university reported better outcomes while being able to help more students in less time. And we have users integrating and applying Kwieri as a solution anywhere between, 2 to 5 times per project. They're using the platform almost 3 times per week for an average of 5 minutes per session. And what we've been able to confirm overwhelmingly is our AI plus human approach outperforms either one alone. So the idea of blending AI generated output with human input is putting reasoning back in the process. So users and learners don't just finish a task, they learn how to think through it. And that's been really, as I said, it's been validating, and it's been, really, exciting.
So you have often spoken about hybrid human plus AI system. Why do you believe that's the future rather than fully autonomous AI?
Well, again, I've said this in many contexts, and I'll repeat it here, that we are big fans of AI. This is not in any way to denigrate AI. AI is, as I've said, transformational and will continue to pay dividends for society and for humankind for a very, very long time. But I don't believe that removing humans from that loop is the right way to go. If you think about your own learning journey, there was probably a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a friend, a collaborator that worked with you and helped to contextualize whatever it was that you were learning or that you were into. And ultimately, that relationship helped give you a different perspective on what you were doing. And we think that pure play technology certainly has a place, but the idea of trying to get to scale and trying to remove humans from that process, because let's face it, human beings have a cost and they're expensive, and the more you can remove labor costs from your product, the more profitable you can be. Totally get it. This is not anything against capitalism, but I really do believe that the future can be written in a far more robust way by making sure and blending that humans are part of that process and they're not on the sidelines. I think, there's example after example of people offloading their responsibility, even in war, the recent war in the Middle East. There's examples of the government relying on AI exclusively without human input, and there have been devastating consequences. So we just think that human input is critical in certain verticals, in certain sectors, and in certain scenarios.
Yes. Finally, what does success look like for Query?
So we have a US issued patent, we have another patent pending, various extensions, and we are filing another patent. So from the standpoint of provenance, data protection, collaboration, UI, user flow, as well as other features, we think that ensuring that we have IP protection creates a little bit of a moat for us. We also not only have first mover advantage and we're penetrating various verticals before anyone else, but what we're building is really seamless, simple, elegant, and intuitive. And so, in my career, I found that it's the things that look the simplest and most intuitive are really the ones that took the most work, the most strategy, and the most forethought. I look at success as being able to make a meaningful change in society and in culture. It's sort of like an iceberg, right? You see that little sliver of ice that's sitting up above the water, and that doesn't exist without the massive foundation underneath that represents the work sitting just underneath and out of sight. So I would say that we've done the work, we've made the mistakes, we've created the workflows, and we're priced reasonably. So I think that success really comes down to establishing market leadership, and really making a change for the positive on how people integrate with AI, use AI, and get better results and more trusted, validated results from AI.
Fantastic insights. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we wrap up, if our audience would like to connect with you, learn more about Query or follow your work, what's the best way to reach you?
You can reach me directly, Evan, EVAN, at Kwieri, KWIERI.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. Happy to connect.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much again sharing your insight and vision with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mamita.